Our future quarterback, Fernando, is going to be at the NFL Combine. But according to Adam Schefter, he tweeted out that projected number one overall pick, Fernando Mendoza, will not throw at the Combine this week. Per source, he will throw at Indiana's Pro Day on April 1st when the school has multiple pass catchers that Mendoza wants to help showcase. Now, Fernando will be at the NFL Combine, but only for medical evaluations and team interviews. What is your thoughts on that, Us?
I'm good with it. Like a top quarterback started this a couple years ago, and it's not nothing new. Like if you don't know what or how good the players are before they get to the combine, like then that's on you and that's on your scouting department. Like I understand what the combine isn't about the drills anymore. It's not about running the 40. It's not about showing up and doing all. It's about just getting to know the players. So if you show up, you do your interviews and you do stuff like that. There's nothing else that you could prove in a couple drills that teams shouldn't already know about you. Oh, you go there and you run a 40 and it's a tenth of a second slower than what it showed on film. Like, come on, is that really gonna? No, that's nothing to you. So I don't. There's nothing Fernando can prove at the NFL Combine throwing. The cool thing is, like, he doesn't even have to throw at his pro day. He's only doing that, and that right there, what he's doing at his pro day, which is April 1st, for you guys that want to watch that, April 1st, he's going to go out there and do his pro day. And the only reason he's throwing at his pro day is because he wants to showcase Surratt and Omar Cooper, and he's being a very good teammate for those wide receivers. But to be honest, the NFL draft or the NFL combine shouldn't really bump your status unless you're like a third, fourth round guy already. That's where you're going to move up and down. But if you're already a solidified first round pick, you're pretty much good going to the combine. It's just getting you in for the interview, and as long as you don't say something stupid, it's usually good.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And like when I heard this, I was like, you know what? Shout out to Mendoza because we all know that everybody's gonna have eyes on Mendoza already because he's the number one overall pick. He doesn't have to throw, like to your point, and we've seen multiple quarterbacks do the same exact thing years prior. But the fact that, his reasoning is because he wants to highlight the same players that he has, and he already has a rapport with those guys, so it makes it much easier for him to go out there and do what he does. But like you said, he's already got everything else on tape, so there's really nothing else to prove. But going to the combine still just to do all the important stuff, especially those interviews, which I don't even know why he's interviewing with other teams because there's only one team that he needs to interview with but I love that. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people around the NFL that just would love to pick his brain and just see where he's at. So I love that because I feel like for those top players, you got more to lose at the NFL Combine than to gain. And like you said, with all those mid round guys or the guys that you really want to see, yeah, it helps those people boost their draft stocks. We've seen it years ago. Byron Jones killed the NFL Combine, and everybody was looking at him. DK Metcalf. I was surprised with DK Metcalf that one year where he killed everything and he still fell to the end of the second round. But you know, like I said, for Mendoza, he doesn't have anything else to prove but just to go out there and show what he has mentally. And especially for the Raiders, this is the first time he gets to speak with the Raiders and the Raiders get to go, have that one-on-one with him and just, at least solidify why he should be the number one overall pick, which I do think he will be the number one overall pick. But, I like it though. I like it. And it just, now, do you think that it's going to be like, do you think people will look at it because I know if he was to go to the combine and throw at the combine, he'd get a little bit more points for that because people will be like, oh, shout out to him for doing that. But do you think that this affects? Well, it doesn't affect any draft stock, but uh, I don't know. Do you think this affects him negatively, like at all? Because I don't see no negative parts of it, but I know that you like to think outside the box sometimes.
He's gonna get hate no matter what. If he doesn't throw, there's gonna be people that are gonna talk shit, like that they're saying, "Oh, he's so good that he's gonna." And then if he does throw and he makes a couple mistakes there, or his arm, on the deep pass doesn't look that great, they're gonna criticize him. So either way, either like Mendoza can do everything 100% correct this week, and there's gonna be criticism. There's gonna be people going to the combine this week just to throw out negativity about Fernando Mendoza. And the guy, like, is one I don't know. We kind of just saw him in person. Like we didn't get to like talk to him, but he just looked like one of the nicest guys I've ever met, like or ever seen
Yeah.
in the world. Like he had a smile the whole time, just doing everything. He didn't have his head down. He was like looking at everybody. This is like one like to be. Why would you want to tear this guy down? Like I don't know why, but there this week we're gonna hear so many people try to get. I'm gonna say that they're gonna go for ratings and view clicks to try to just throw as much negative about Fernando Mendoza, and that's what it is. But in reality, there's no reason for Fernando to be out there throwing unless if this was a year where if Dante Moore would have came out or another quarterback would have came out and they were battling for who's going to be number one, number
Yeah.
two, that's different. But
Yeah.
Fernando has it locked up. The Raiders look, if you still like I love like the scenarios. You know that. You know I love talking about that. There's not even a point of talking about the Raiders trading out of the number one pick because it's not happening. The Raiders are taking Fernando Mendoza,
Yeah.
number one. You've seen it with the way they've hired coaches and set everything up. They're preparing for Fernando to come in here. It's already a done deal.
Yeah, yeah, it's already written in stone, and I feel like when I think about that, is maybe it's a strategic thing to talk ish on Fernando because we've heard a lot of different reports on people not really sold on him, or like you said, maybe people could run with certain scenarios or whatnot, and maybe hope that the Raiders think twice about it and be like, you know what, Fernando's not the guy,
No,
and then they go out there and they just say, you know, let's trade back, or we'll just go get the best player available, and then Fernando somewhat happens to fall into the Jets' lap. But like you said, I mean, yeah, if there was another quarterback out there, I would understand it. But I think even if Dante Moore came out, it would most likely be the he would still most likely be the number one overall pick. But at least I think putting doubt out there might hopefully make the Raiders think otherwise. But I think that I've seen so many reports already that it's a foregone conclusion that the Raiders are not moving out of that pick. They're gonna draft Fernando Mendoza, and it will take a god haul to move out that number one pick. And most likely it's not gonna come unless it's like 5 first round picks. But yeah, there's nothing else to prove. But that interview is gonna be huge because, like I said, he's gonna get a feel, or at least the Raiders will get a feel for Fernando Mendoza. You know.
well, and Fernando gets to meet his idol, or the guy he grew up
Ooh, Tom
watching,
Brady. Yeah.
Tom Brady, and so. But look, it was solidified after the national championship game when the
Oh,
Raiders,
oh yeah.
all the Raiders brass got a sweep
Oh,
at the game
you seen
when
the
they
way
watched
Mark Davis was staring at him pregame, Moose? He was staring
them.
at him with that gawk in his eye, Moose, and he was just smiling away, Moose, and he was like, "That's my quarterback." And like you said, the moment he ran over old dude and got into the
That
end
was it.
zone, hey,
Yeah,
the
as soon as he
the
lowered his
card has
shoulder,
already been written, Moose. His name has been written. It's been in Mark Davis's pocket since that day. So it's probably crumpled up by this time, but they'll probably open it up. It'll be because we
you ever
know.
seen the movie Draft Day, where
I've never
Draft
watched it. I
Day,
need to watch it though.
where he write the name on the piece of paper and you stick this in your pocket
Uh
and
huh.
it says draft Mendoza no matter what, no matter what.
Yes.
I don't like you said it would have to take a god haul. I can see the Raiders getting offered 2 first round picks and more and still going no. And because
Is that a God Hall?
whatever your questions you have about Mendoza, whatever you feel about Fernando Mendoza, at the end of the day, Raiders have put themselves in a position where they need a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And you are in that position, and there's no guarantee that we can get it next year. Even though there's like 7 good quarterbacks coming out next year, there's no guarantee that we get one of them because we saw it a couple years ago when all those quarterbacks went before our pick, right?
Yeah.
So we're sitting there at 13 going, yeah, we could probably get a quarterback, and then gone. So I don't care what your comparison is of Fernando Mendoza to who you compare it to. I've seen some people go, Fernando is the comparison to Joe Burrow. Fernando is comparison to Kirk Cousins. He's Jared Goff. So so you ask yourself, would you take Kirk Cousins? Because that'd probably be the least one, right? It'd be probably Joe Burrow is probably your best, then Jared Goff, and then Kirk Cousins. Out of those comparisons, some people say Matt Ryan. Would you take any of those 4 at number 1 overall? And the answer is yes. I mean, Jerry Goff was a first round overall pick, and he did lead his team as a game manager or whatever you want to call him to a Super Bowl with the Rams. and he's led the Lions to a playoff game. So yes, no matter what you think of Fernando Mendoza, if he is only a game manager, then that's what you bring him in here. You want to put the weapons around him, which the Raiders already have in Ashton Genty and they have in Brock Bowers. Get him a wide receiver, fix up that offensive line, and let your game manager work. That's all that matters.
And to that point, like I've said this before, and I've told you before, it was that the bar for a Raiders quarterback is not high. It's really low. Like our expectations aren't that high. Just come over here, do your job, no turnovers. You could have 100 yards passing with a touchdown or two, but as long as there's no turnovers and the Raiders could get a lead, keep the lead, run the ball perfectly and whatnot, then that's all we ask of you. Like, but the fact that the last couple quarterbacks that we've had, starting for the Raiders have been horrible outside of Jimmy G. Like all of those guys have set the bar really low, and most of it is because of the turnovers that they've had. But we know that Fernando coming over here is not going to be perfect. There will be some rookie woes with him. Like he's going to take some time, but at least that's coming from a rookie quarterback. And we have a lot of people in his ear, at least mentors, whether it's a quarterback, a veteran quarterback, whether it's Clint Kubiak, Andrew Janoko. Like we got a lot of minds over here, and even maybe Tom Brady as well, that could come over here or that are here for him to go to whenever he's struggling like that. But like I said, like whether it's a Kirk Cousins, whether it's a Jared Goff, whether it's a Matt Ryan, like all of those guys, we would love those type of careers over here if he was to come over here and succeed. Fernando, like I said, I think is the best quarterback. Well, is definitely the best quarterback in this year's draft, but also I think the best quarterback to come around for the Raiders to have an opportunity at. And I think, as much as I've been mad that the Raiders haven't tanked properly the past couple of years, I'm more happy that the Raiders tanked. Well, they didn't purposely tank, but I'm happy that they got the number one pick this year than they did last year. Because of course, I wanted Shador and maybe Cam Ward, but I take Fernando Mendoza in a heartbeat over those guys, and I think he'd be the perfect candidate over here in Las Vegas. And I think that's why we're all kind of hyped up about it, right? Because
Yeah,
we don't really have to worry about him, especially in Sin City, entertainment capital of the world. He's going to come over here and just be a character, and I already see that leadership in him, and we like you said, we seen him firsthand, just walking around, and the most polite dude. Maybe Vegas will change him. Who knows? But at least right now, the way we're looking at it right now, Fernando seems like a really good guy, and seems like the perfect quarterback and a perfect match for, of course, the Las Vegas Raiders. Who's
yeah, and he's not a perfect prospect, and nobody is. There's no guaranteed when it comes to NFL prospects. But like you said, the way he carries himself, I don't have any problems looking at him going, okay, the Vegas nightlife is gonna get to Fernando Mendoza. No, I'm
yeah,
like, you don't have to worry about that. That's the cool thing you don't have to worry about. It's just those little things. But when it comes to playing on the field, of course, there's always questions about it, and you're always gonna be wondering about it.
yeah,
But let it play out, and I hope it works out. And like you said, we have the great offensive coaching staff now that is actually going to work around them, and they're going to. And Kubiak, I loved when Kubiak said this. It's not about the X's and O's; it's about the coaches that they're bringing in the building that can work, and they're going to take Fernando's strengths and build a system around him, and not put him into a system.
yeah.
And
That's true.
that's
That's
the good
huge.
thing about it.
And that's huge, and we've seen multiple teams do that. I mean, we've done that before too. But just building the team around them and putting them in the prime position to win, that's huge, and that's all we can ask for from a coaching staff, and especially for our future quarterback. But I'm excited for Fernando. Of course, pro day. I know Raider fans. Mark Davis, everybody named Mama's in the silver and black. We're gonna be looking out for that day. Maybe it's not even gonna be on that day because it's on April Fool's. So he might fool us and be like, "Gotcha, bitch. I'm not doing no pro day."